The hidden truth about Bhutanese beauty. There's something absolutely mesmerizing happening in the mountain kingdom of Bhutan that the travel industry doesn't want you to know about. Walk through the streets of Thimphu or Paro, and you'll encounter women whose beauty defies Western conventions entirely. They possess high cheekbones sculpted by altitude, sun-kissed skin that glows with natural health, and eyes that reflect both ancient wisdom and modern confidence. But here's what makes them truly captivating. These women wear the kira, a traditional dress that transforms movement into an art form, and they do so with pride that borders on defiance in our globalized world. They're educated, outspoken, and live in a society where certain behaviors considered sinful elsewhere are not just accepted but woven into the cultural fabric. That's right, this Buddhist kingdom harbors practices that would shock conservative nations, yet somehow maintains a spiritual reputation. The contradiction is staggering, and before we reveal exactly what makes Bhutan the most sinful country you've never heard about, you need to understand the impossible place that created such extraordinary people. The last Shangri-La on Earth. Bhutan clings to the eastern Himalayas like a fortress between two giants. Sandwiched between China to the north and India to the south, this tiny kingdom covers just 38,000 square kilometers, yet contains more geographical drama than countries 10 times its size. Mountains soar above 7,000 meters, their peaks perpetually wrapped in clouds that locals believe house protective deities. Rivers carved from glacial melt thunder through valleys so deep that entire ecosystems exist in isolation from each other. The southern border touches the steaming jungles of India, while the northern frontier brushes against the Tibetan Plateau's frozen wasteland. This creates a nation where you can stand in subtropical forest at breakfast and reach alpine tundra by dinner. But here's what makes Bhutan truly unique in Asia. Until 1974, no foreigners were allowed in. None. The country remained completely closed, a medieval kingdom frozen in time while the world modernized around it. When they finally opened, they did so on their own terms with restrictions so severe that Bhutan remains one of Earth's least visited nations despite being one of its most spectacular. The happiness measurement that changed everything. Forget GDP. Bhutan measures gross national happiness, and they're deadly serious about it. The fourth king introduced this concept in the 1970s, declaring that spiritual and emotional well-being mattered more than economic growth. Critics laughed. Economists dismissed it as naive foolishness. But Bhutan committed anyway, and the results are fascinating. The government actually surveys citizens about their happiness levels and uses that data to shape policy. Development projects get rejected if they threaten cultural values or environmental integrity, regardless of potential profit. Roads remain unpaved because paving them would encourage mass tourism that might corrupt traditional values. This isn't performance art. It's a genuine attempt to chart a different course for human development. But here's the twist nobody mentions. This focus on happiness doesn't mean Bhutanese people are constantly cheerful. It means they've created a society that prioritizes meaning over material accumulation, and that choice produces some very unexpected freedoms, especially regarding matters of the flesh. The geography of isolation and mysticism. Picture this. Bhutan has no traffic lights. Not one. In the entire country. The capital Thimphu is the only world capital without them, relying instead on white-glove traffic police who direct cars with choreographed hand movements. This detail reveals something profound. Bhutan rejected modernity's conveniences not from poverty but from choice. The landscape itself enforced this isolation for centuries. Mountain passes remain closed by snow for months each year. Roads cling to cliff faces where one mistake means a 1,000-meter plunge. Until recently, most villages had no roads at all, connected only by footpaths traversing terrain so vertical that pack animals couldn't navigate it. This geographic isolation preserved cultural practices that vanished elsewhere centuries ago. Buddhist monasteries perch on cliff faces accessible only by rope ladders. Dzongs, massive fortress monasteries, dominate valleys like something from a fantasy novel. And in this isolated kingdom, away from outside judgment, certain social customs evolved that make Bhutan simultaneously deeply spiritual and surprisingly liberal. The tiger's nest that defies belief. Clinging to a vertical cliff 900 meters above the Paro Valley sits Taktshang Monastery, known worldwide as the Tiger's Nest. Legend says Guru Rinpoche, who brought Buddhism to Bhutan, flew here on the back of a tigress and meditated in a cave for 3 years. The monastery built around that cave seems to defy gravity and common sense. No roads reach it. Everything, every stone, every timber, every artifact, was carried up a footpath so steep that even fit hikers require 3 hours to reach the top. Yet thousands make this pilgrimage annually because the Tiger's Nest represents something essential about Bhutanese spirituality. They believe enlightenment requires effort, that sacred spaces should be difficult to reach, that struggle itself purifies the spirit. But there's something else happening at sites like this. In a country where Buddhism permeates every aspect of life, where prayer flags flutter from every pass and prayer wheels spin in every village, the religion practiced here differs dramatically from the austere traditions found elsewhere. Bhutanese Buddhism absorbed older Bon animist beliefs, creating a hybrid faith where spirits inhabit rocks and trees, where demons must be appeased, and where the line between sacred and profane blurs in unexpected ways. The phallic symbol obsession nobody mentions. Here's where Bhutan's sinful reputation starts to make sense. Throughout the kingdom, you'll encounter something that shocks first-time visitors into stunned silence. Phalluses, painted on house walls, carved into wood, hanging from rooftops. Giant, colorful, often comically exaggerated representations of male anatomy are everywhere, and Bhutanese people treat them as casual home decor. This isn't juvenile humor. The sacred symbolism. The tradition traces to Drukpa Kunli, a 15th century Buddhist master known as the divine madman who taught enlightenment through outrageous behavior, excessive drinking, and legendary sexual prowess. He subdued demons not through meditation but through sexual conquest, using his thunderbolt of flaming wisdom. And yes, that's exactly what you think it is. His teachings created a strand of Buddhism where sexuality isn't shameful but sacred, where the physical body is a path to enlightenment rather than an obstacle. Houses display these symbols to ward off evil spirits and bring fertility. Tourists giggle nervously. Bhutanese grandmothers paint them without embarrassment. This comfort with sexuality in a deeply religious society creates a cultural paradox that extends far beyond wall decorations. The marriage system that shocks the world. Now we get to the heart of why Bhutan might be Asia's most sinful country, at least by conservative standards. Traditional Bhutanese society practices something that would scandalize most of the world. Night hunting, or bomina, remains an accepted courtship ritual where young men sneak into women's bedrooms at night. If the woman accepts his presence, well, nature takes its course. If she rejects him, he leaves quietly. There's no shame either way, but it gets more complex. Bhutan historically practiced polyandry, where one woman married multiple brothers to prevent family land from being divided. While less common now, the practice hasn't entirely disappeared. Additionally, divorce carries zero stigma. Couples separate casually, often remaining friends and co-parenting without drama. Women initiate divorce as often as men. Children born outside marriage face no social penalty. This sexual liberalism exists alongside deep Buddhist devotion, creating a society where monks meditate in mountain caves while villagers engage in premarital relations that would horrify more conservative cultures. The apparent contradiction isn't a contradiction at all to Bhutanese people. Spirituality and sexuality occupy different domains that don't conflict. The women who run everything. Bhutanese women possess a status that would shock neighboring countries. They inherit property equally with brothers. They control household finances. They work in every profession from construction to government. Walk into any Bhutanese shop or restaurant, and you'll likely find a woman running it. This equality isn't recent or imported from the West. It's traditional. The polyandry system meant women became heads of extended families. The agricultural system required female labor as essential as male. Buddhist philosophy preached the spiritual equality of all beings. The result? Women who move through the world with remarkable self-possession and confidence. They're direct in conversation, ambitious in career, and unapologetic about their desires. Foreign men often misread this confidence as flirtation when it's simply the default mode of women who've never been taught to diminish themselves. And these women, dressed in their traditional kiras with silver jewelry passed down through generations, represent something increasingly rare. A culture where femininity doesn't equal submission. The tourism policy that keeps you out. Here's a fact that infuriates budget travelers. Bhutan charges a minimum daily fee of roughly $200 to $250 or 185 to 230 euros per person for the privilege of visiting. This isn't a hotel cost or tour package. It's a mandatory government fee required just to enter the country, covering accommodation, food, guide, and transport whether you want those services or not. Most nations beg for tourists. Bhutan actively discourages them through price. Why? They watched Nepal and Tibet get overrun by backpackers, watched sacred sites turned into carnival attractions, watched local culture commodified and corrupted. They decided quality over quantity, allowing only around 300,000 visitors annually compared to millions flooding neighboring countries. This policy protects their culture but also creates something else. An air of exclusivity and mystery that makes Bhutan even more desirable. It's the ultimate forbidden fruit, and those who can afford entry often find an experience unlike anywhere else on Earth. The Dragon Kingdom's sacred geography. Bhutan calls itself Druk Yul, the land of the thunder dragon, and the name fits perfectly. Thunderstorms roll through these mountains with apocalyptic fury, lightning striking peaks while thunder echoes through valleys like the roar of mythical beasts. The highest point, Gankhar Puensum, reaches 7,570 meters and holds a unique distinction. It's the world's highest unclimbed mountain, and it will remain that way forever because Bhutan banned mountaineering on peaks above 6,000 meters. Why? Mountains are sacred. The gods live there. Climbing them would be sacrilege. This decision reveals the Bhutanese worldview. Some places should remain untouched, some mysteries unsolved, some heights unreached. While other nations race to conquer every peak and explore every corner, Bhutan chooses reverence over conquest. Yet this same nation that treats mountains as sacred allows sexual freedoms that would trigger riots in conservative societies. The paradox defines them. The festival where masks tell forbidden stories. Bhutan's religious festivals, called sekis, are spectacles that blend the sacred and profane in ways that must be seen to be believed. Masked dancers perform for hours, their movements telling stories of Buddhist saints, demons, and the eternal struggle between enlightenment and ignorance. But watch carefully. Some dances feature the Aughts era, clown figures who mock authority, make crude jokes, and touch audience members with wooden phalluses for luck. Yes, during religious festivals at sacred monasteries, costumed clowns wield giant carved phalluses and chase women through crowds while everyone laughs. Children watch. Monks watch. Nobody flinches. These festivals reveal how Bhutanese Buddhism absorbed the earthy, chaotic elements of older shamanistic traditions. The result is a religion comfortable with the full spectrum of human experience, from celestial meditation to body humor, from ascetic discipline to joyful excess. The plastic ban that saved paradise. In 1999, Bhutan became the first country to completely ban plastic bags. In 2004, they became the first to ban tobacco sales. These weren't suggestions. They're laws enforced with fines and imprisonment. Smuggling cigarettes into Bhutan is a criminal offense. Using a plastic bag can result in penalties. The country takes environmental protection with deadly seriousness, mandating that 60% of land remain forested by constitutional law. As a result, Bhutan is carbon negative, absorbing more carbon dioxide than it produces, making it one of only 2 countries on Earth with this distinction. The landscape remains pristine. Rivers run clean. Air quality in cities surpasses most of Europe. But this environmental zealotry creates friction with development. Young Bhutanese increasingly chafe at restrictions that limit economic growth. They see neighbors in India driving cars and buying consumer goods while they're told to prioritize happiness over wealth. The tension between traditional values and modern desires is building, and nobody knows how it will resolve. The cuisine that tests your courage. Bhutanese food centers on one ingredient, chili peppers, not as seasoning, as the main vegetable. The national dish, emidachur, is literally just chilies cooked in cheese sauce, and it's served at every meal. Bhutanese people consume chilies in quantities that would hospitalize most foreigners. They eat them raw for breakfast. They dry them for snacks. They add them to tea. This obsession with spice reveals something about the culture. They like intensity. They embrace discomfort as a path to feeling alive. The same philosophy that sends them hiking to vertical monasteries and meditating in freezing caves makes them crave food that burns. And if you think this is an exaggeration, try eating what locals eat and watch your preconceptions about your own spice tolerance crumble into tears and sweat. The modernization dilemma nobody discusses. Television arrived in Bhutan in 1999. The internet came shortly after. Within a decade, youth crime increased. Drug use appeared. Divorce rates climbed. Traditional dress began disappearing from daily life in favor of jeans and t-shirts. The government watched in horror as the modern world corrupted in years what isolation had protected for centuries. But here's the impossible choice. Close off again and deny citizens access to information and opportunity, or continue opening and watch unique culture dissolve into global uniformity. Bhutan is attempting a middle path, mandating traditional dress for government workers, restricting foreign media, and heavily regulating tourism. But young Bhutanese increasingly view these restrictions as oppressive rather than protective. They want jobs, opportunities, and freedoms that traditional society cannot provide. The nation stands at a crossroads, and the next generation will decide whether Bhutan remains the last Shangri-La or becomes just another modernized Asian state. The spiritual economics of deliberate poverty. Bhutan is poor by conventional economic measures. GDP per capita hovers around $3,000 to $3,500 or 2,800 to 3,200 euros annually. Many villages lack electricity or running water. Healthcare is free but basic. Yet when international organizations survey life satisfaction, Bhutanese people report happiness levels that rival far wealthier nations. How? They've internalized the Buddhist teaching that suffering comes from desire, and reducing desire eliminates suffering. When you don't expect air conditioning, luxury cars, or designer clothes, their absence doesn't create unhappiness. When community and spirituality provide meaning, money becomes less important. But this philosophy faces its ultimate test as the internet shows young Bhutanese the lifestyles they're missing. The spiritual economics that sustained happiness for generations may not survive the Instagram age. The real story behind the Sinful label. So why call Bhutan sinful? Because this nation that outsiders romanticize as a Buddhist paradise harbors freedoms that conservative societies would condemn as immoral. Casual premarital relations, liberal divorce, polyandrous marriages, phallic worship, sexual symbolism in religious festivals. Yet Bhutanese people see no contradiction between these practices and deep spirituality. Their Buddhism absorbed tantric traditions that view sexual energy as sacred force. They inherited cultural attitudes where pleasure and spirituality coexist comfortably. The sin isn't in their behavior but in outsiders' projections and judgments. Bhutan simply operates on different moral coordinates, ones where authenticity and happiness matter more than conformity to external religious codes. This makes them sinful only to those who view sexuality through a lens of shame and guilt, concepts largely absent from traditional Bhutanese culture. Your turn to share your perspective. So there you have it. 15 mind-blowing facts about Bhutan that reveal a kingdom far more complex and fascinating than any tourist brochure suggests. From the stunning women who inherited centuries of gender equality to the sexual freedoms that coexist with Buddhist devotion, from the Tiger's Nest Monastery to the mandatory happiness measurements. This is a nation attempting something unprecedented. Modernizing without losing its soul, opening to the world while protecting its values, embracing both ancient wisdom and new possibilities. Now we want to hear from you. What city or country are you watching from right now? What surprised you most about Bhutan? Does a country like this even have a chance of surviving in our modern world? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video valuable and eye-opening, smash that hype button and hit the like button. It's completely free and helps us create more content exploring the world's most incredible and misunderstood places. We genuinely appreciate every single one of you who takes a second to do this. Finally, don't leave yet. Click on one of the suggested videos appearing on your screen right now to discover more amazing curiosities about countries and cultures you never knew existed. Trust us, the journey is just beginning. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering.